it is time, guys, to play make or break. This is the one factor that will make or break each team's season. Howard, I start with you and the Hawkeyes.
So I think when you look at Iowa and you think about what they have to do, obviously they've made some decisions at the quarterback position, but I ultimately think they still have to be a better running football team. They only averaged 123 yards last year per game. Weissman was a big part of that. When he went down, they really couldn't find any way to manufacture yards. They're going to have to keep a consistent running game throughout the entire season to take some of the pressure off the quarterback.
Yeah, and again, Howard, I go back to the opposite situation on defense. Up front, they look good, but secondary is going to get tested. They've got to make some plays in the secondary on defense as well.
How about Minnesota, Coach?
Well, Philip Nelson, sophomore starting quarterback. I mean, he is critical. This is a fairly typical traditional offense. He's going to take most of the snaps from underneath the center. They're going to try to run the football. They're going to set everything up they do offensively with the tailback run. What does that mean? That means that Philip Nelson has to be very accurate in the pass game. We watched him the day we were there at camp. His accuracy was okay. I think he has a long way to go. He has a little bit of a way to go before he can be the perfect quarterback for the Minnesota offense.
And I think as long as the defense continues to improve like they did last year, they really stopped giving up those big plays, the explosive plays that we talked so much about. I think this offense will continue to get better.
Absolutely. One of the more improved defenses in the country, as we touched on. But offensively, you have 8 games where you score 17 or fewer points, tied for the most in the country. It doesn't matter how good that defense is, you're not going to win many games. Michigan State, Howard.
Well, we've talked about Andrew Maxwell. He's going to be your starting quarterback. But here's the key now that he's been named the quarterback. His wide receivers also have to be able to step up and make plays for him. We understand he understands this offense. He knows where the ball is supposed to be. But too many times last year, they struggled on getting the ball and catching the ball. So I think now that he's been named the starter, that's settled down a little bit. If he can go out and get some good things happening offensively, which means getting those wide receivers the ball, allowing them to make plays. They got to catch it first, but allowing them to make plays after and runs after the catch, they'll be solid.
And based on our visit in the spring and in the fall, they've got to Maxwell has to get support at the perimeter with the wide receivers and at the running back position. And there was no question they have enough talent at both those positions to support Maxwell.
The question, particularly running back, is just kind of who's going to be the featured guy, and It seems like that's kind of still working itself out. Northwestern, Coach.
Well, Pat Fitzgerald has had T-shirts made up. His theme has been 503 because he constantly talks about we have to finish the game. The significance of 503 is they were 5 minutes and 3 seconds away from being undefeated. So his push during the offseason is finish, finish, finish. I do think there's a downside to this psychology. I mean, you've got to start. You've got to be in the game, and you can't focus just on the finish, although I think it's been a very good theme for him during the offseason. But Fitz wants to finish these games. He's got a really good team that can do that.
You know, I'll go back to a specific unit, particularly the defensive backs last year, who really struggled making plays on the ball. I don't believe they're going to have that issue this year because they're so much more talented.
And those two have kind of gone hand in hand where they've blown some late leads. The secondary's had something to do with it. Over the last 7 seasons, 9 games they've lost where they held a double-digit lead at some point in the game. How about Michigan, Howard?
The front 7. I think being able to control the defensive line or the line of scrimmage, that's where it all is going to start. When you look at the talent that they have, there's no question about it. Black, Clark, and Pipkins, I think they have to step up and really be able to control it. I think when you control the line of scrimmage, you win the game. And I think now that they switched to the offense that they have now, more of a pro-style, downhill, in-your-face style of defense, it's really going to help that offense get prepared.
What's your nickname for Devin Gardner?
Big Smooth.
Big Smooth. Big Smooth has to live up to his potential, live up to the hype. It appears he's positioned to do that. And Fitz Toussaint or whoever is the tailback has to be dominant in that offense. Fitz has been there before. He's been over 1,000 yards. Being over 1,000 yards again this year would be a big boost.
Again, last year the injuries were an issue. And, of course, the suspension at the beginning of the year never totally got it going. Toussaint, of course, perhaps a little bit of a challenge from Derek Green, one of the top recruits in the country. Finally, Coach, Nebraska.
Well, we've talked about it most of the show, stopping the big plays on defense. They've given up more big plays than, as Howard, as you put it, to be a championship defense. They are a young, talented defense. They can prevent big plays because big plays are technical, missed tackles, and the only solution to being a better tackler, Howard, is to be a good athlete, and they certainly have a bunch of good athletes on defense. So they just have to stop the big plays.
And you talk about stopping the big plays. I think one of the things that can help them is an offense that can get off to a good start, a fast start. And what I mean by that is they don't want to be playing from behind, because what happens when they play from behind is Taylor Martinez starts to press. That means they're forced into a passing game, and he believes that he can fit the ball in there. So you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're starting to play outside of the offense. Stay within it, and this team can be dynamic, but they have to get off to a fast start.
How about the only team I think that can stop Nebraska is Nebraska offensively.
Right.
I mean, they have a ton of talent on that entire offensive group.